celestial greetings. This is an extended version of the Mars-Uranus conjunction, and it's a divine message that informs us of the three categories of those of us who are shifting and sifting through the timelines, particularly right about now at this point in time in the 5D ascension. So as we were building, for those of you who didn't get to see that video, you might want to look back at the one that says 4 planets at 4 degrees on July 4th. This is extending from that because there was more in that message that I didn't get to share because of just the camera cutting. Listen, Mercury retrograde is doing its thing. Well, and I'll do a different video about Mercury retrograde, but it's really doing its thing, particularly with me this time. All type of electronics just not working. I already lost one phone, so now I'm down to this one. With that said, I did not get it out and had to pause. So here is the rest of that information. So this is really important to note as I was getting the download about what's happening with the 5D that is building in this reflection of the independence that we may see, excuse the noise, that we may see in 3D is really a reflection of the true independence of 5D from the 2/22/2022. So with that said, I believe where we left off, just to kind of connect it back in, where we left off is that the true ones are the we left off about the progress of the planetary ascension, that whatever is happening in 3D, that they cannot reach it, so there'll be no suffering. Not that we're not going to see anything, but they can't cause any long-term suffering or derail the progress of the planetary ascension. That's where we left off at. And it was to go furthermore into the true ones, the Midwayers. And I call it the unawares, but I think it's just the unawakened ones, those who are just not awakened. They might be aware of something, but they also may just be in low densities, very low vibration and low density. So even though they may be aware of some things, they're kind of held by the densities that they're in. And the densities, a lot of people, I don't think we talk about it enough, but the densities are things that we're doing in our life, world, and affair that keeps us in these lower vibrations. It's the things we believe in, it's concepts, it's foods that we're eating, it's relationships that we're still holding on to. It's things in our life, world, and affairs that keep us bound to the lower densities in this realm. So those are the lower densities. So you can be aware, you can get all of this knowledge, but if you're not releasing and detoxifying the lower densities, then it does you no good. It keeps you bound, right? So with that said, it highlighted that there are these three types of people in these categories while the building is happening. So there's the true ones, which was mentioned in the aforementioned video. The true ones are the bifurcation bridge, as they hold the strong currents as lighthouses on the light grid, and are now building lighthouse colonies to raise the grid, to raise the light grid. So these are the true ones. The true ones are those who are really getting rid of the densities to such a level that they are the bifurcation bridge. The work that they have done has become the bridge, right? So wherever they are, it is a bridging way over, because they are the ones who are usually leading, facilitating, doing works, shadow work, to help anything that is helping to release densities in the body, whether it be dietary, and I don't mean egoically, we got to eat better dietary. I'm talking about with true on the love frequency, a connection in the love frequency, and not just out of intelligence and intellect, but also out of understanding and awareness, and being able to help educate, not just throw information out, but to educate and also facilitate, most importantly, to help facilitate the change in these diets, helping people to understand their bodies, their foods, what's happening with them in their life, world, and affairs. These are the true ones on the bifurcation bridge, who are also have released densities of their own, and they're not really tethered to the 3D shadows like that. They are the ones, as I've mentioned in another video, they do not entertain 3D, I want to say like holidays and things like that. Anything that's a low vibrational, they don't entertain it, because they know of the higher works. They know of the light code integration, and they're too busy focusing on that to make these things in the shadows of 3D still be a driving force for them, where it distracts when it's time to make a certain decision, when there are certain cosmic alignments, when instead of them aligning, they may get distracted by what's going on in the world, right? The true ones are too focused on the light codes, if that makes sense, right? And it's not to shame or blame anybody else, or make anyone feel less than. It's just where they are. So the true ones are really unattached to the lower densities, and so therefore they facilitate and become the bifurcation bridge. The next group of people are the midwayers. What I call the midwayers is how it came to me. Those who are willing but not ready, or they may be ready but not willing. This is what I call like the lukewarmers, the what do I call them? The fence, straddling the fence, and 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? The midwayers, they can find the bifurcation bridge, but fall in and out of the bifurcation split. So remember, there's a bifurcation split that is happening. However, by working the split and shifting and sifting and removing your densities, you find the bridge and you become the bridge. The split becomes the bridge, if that makes sense. So a lot of times they can find the bridge. The midwayers, they can see it, they can find it. They may even get to put their foot on it, partake in it. But then they often fall out into the split. They usually have 1 foot on one end and one on the other, because they're still engaged in certain densities that draw them back in. Again, whether it's food, relationships, behaviors, characteristics, concepts, activities, all of that play a part in it, right? They hold a not so strong current on the grid. So not as strong as the true ones, but it's not to say they're not strong. It's just not as strong as the true ones that hold a stronger current on the grid. So not so strong on the grid, that tends to flicker in and out. So whenever they're, falling between the splits, or I want to say battling between the splits, they flicker in and out. So they may or may not be a lighthouse, so they don't always have to necessarily be a lighthouse. Remember, we're talking about all different types of people, right? Some are more intentionally working on the light grid, some are not. Some are not aware. They may not be a lighthouse, but they may live a lifestyle. They may be unaware of 5D altogether. Even true ones, not all of them are aware of 5D, but most are. Most true ones are definitely aware of the 5th dimension or Aquarian age. They're aware of that, most. With the midwayers, they may or may not. However, they're living in a life that bridges them over from time to time, that gets them through the bifurcation split. Occasionally they get to see the bridge or connect to the bridge, but they often don't stay there, is what I'm saying. So they may or may not be a lighthouse, and can be the bridge that can lead the others, meaning the unawares, the completely unawares, or those who are just not awake at all, what I call them. They can lead the unawares to the bifurcation bridge from the split. So not only can they find the bridge, they can also be a bridge that they wouldn't be the bifurcation bridge, but they will be a type of bridge that leads others to the bifurcation bridge. So they themselves can find the bridge, and they can lead others to the bridge. And sometimes they may lead others to the bridge, and that others may surpass them. It all depends on how they are engaged in the densities and how long they choose to stay there. That all depends on them. But that is the midwayers. The midwayers are in and out, and there's a lot of spiritual people in the spiritual community that are midwayers, thinking that they're true ones, but a lot of them are midwayers, and it's because of the densities, that they're in. Especially if you find yourself falling um, back into something, it's like, didn't I do this already? Where there's some densities that you probably didn't address, right? So that's just that. Now the unawares are stuck in the bifurcation split and only show up as flickers of light on the grid, right? When they do coherent acts through the true heart vibrations that aligns with the light grid activation. So they flicker on the light, just like all of us. We all started like a little flicker, until we grew and grew more in our light. The more we release densities, the more we grow in our light. I say it all the time, because the more you remove resistance in your channel that allows more light to flow through you, therefore you become a stronger conduit and a stronger current on the light grid. So those who are like in the unaware, those are people who not only don't know anything about what's going on, but they could also be like, I want to say some that are just downright ignorant. Some people are really deep in the shadows, or what we call, they may just be NPCs, whatever it is, but they're you know they only flicker here and there. Whenever they do some little drop of good or something that aligns their true heart vibrations to the light grid activation, then they flicker a little, right? So that's what happens with them. When they flicker or spark on the light grid, the lighthouses become visible and they can find the bifurcation bridge. So there's hope for them, there's faith for them, but they have to do the work. And so whenever they do good work, whenever they flicker, they have an opportunity to see the light grid. It's all about energetic algorithms, just like the algorithms, on social media. That comes from mimicking energetic algorithms, right? Whatever it is that the energy is flowing to and where it's going, they'll see more of. So when they align, when they flicker on the grid and they align with that, they are attuned, they become attuned to lighthouses. What's the best way I could say? Okay, just like how we like, and I say like, and other people will be able to see it, and it helps to get those in the remote places. These unawares are in the remote places because they're not as engaged in the light grid. They're pretty much disengaged. And so whenever they flicker on the light, they're also able to witness or see more lighthouses, which could be midwayers and true ones. They'll see more lighthouses, and when they see that lighthouse, they're going to be drawn to it. It's all by choice. It's either they go towards it or they choose to continue what they're doing, but that's their opportunity, right? Whenever you flicker on the light grid, so sometimes you unaware, you may come across certain people and you don't realize it's because you did something that raised your vibration on the light grid, that allowed you to get connected to a particular lighthouse. And some take it for granted and some fall right out of it. I for one have witnessed that in being a lighthouse, and one who is now raising light colonies and been working on it since 2022, since the 5D independence. I've had different groups come in and out, different flows of people, and I can see the difference. I can see the wavering in the faith. I can see when they fall back because of distractions and just densities that they still haven't gotten out of their system, but they want to move forward, and a lot of times don't realize it's because of those densities, which sometimes are called resistance, sometimes they're wounds, sometimes it's familiarity. But those are the three groups right now that we're seeing. So this is what we're building in the 5D building. We're seeing this come about, right? So with that said, that's what I'm sharing with you all on this 3D building 444. And we're seeing who's building. The 5D colonies are coming online, and who's more able to see, and everybody's bearing witness to it, but not everybody knows what it is. But the true ones do. The midwayers got a clue. The unawares sometimes just don't know what to do. Ashe. So If you have any questions, comments, please drop a comment in here. Do you feel like you're a true one, a midwayer, an unaware? You know, if you want to ask, drop the question right here. If you want to know, if you want to do a one-on-one, as I say, I help those bridge into the fifth dimension. I do one-on-one consultation. So like, subscribe, share, comment if you dare. Haven't said that in a while. How you doing out there? So with that said, thanks for tuning in to Tune Up, and we'll see you later, and we'll know what's up. Peace, love, and light.